You know, in the book of Exodus, there's this incredible moment. After 400 years of what seems like total silence from God, a single cry from an enslaved people literally changes the course of history. So, what was it about that moment that finally broke the silence? And what does it tell us about a power that's willing to wait?
So, let's set the scene. We're talking about pure, raw desperation here. After generations of brutal slavery in Egypt, the people of Israel they've reached their breaking point. This isn't some quiet, private suffering anymore. No, this is a collective cry, a groan so loud it seems to echo all the way from earth to heaven.
And that's the setup, right? You've got a people who are completely trapped. There's no earthly power that can save them, which of course leads us to a really critical question.
I mean, think about it. If this suffering has been going on for centuries, why now? What makes this moment so different? Why is this particular cry the one that finally triggers a world-changing response? On the surface, it feels kind of random, doesn't it?
Well, the text gives us a clue. It doesn't just say, and then God decided to help. Not at all. Instead, the response unfolds in 4 very specific, very deliberate actions that build on each other, one by one.
Okay, so first, God heard their groaning, and that's key. It wasn't just background noise. It was truly received. Then, God saw the Israelites. Again, not just a faceless mob, but individuals. Next, God knew their condition. This is a deep, intimate understanding of their pain, but it's the 4th action that changes absolutely everything. God remembered.
And you have to see how important this is. Hearing, seeing, and knowing, well, those could just be acts of compassion, right? An emotional response. But the text deliberately adds that final powerful verb, remembered, to show us that this isn't just an impulse. No, this is about a commitment. So let's dig into that. What does it actually mean in this context for God to remember? Because I'm telling you, that one word, it changes everything.
You know, for you and me, remembering usually means pulling up a memory we might have forgotten. Like, oh yeah, I remember that now. But in the Bible, when God remembers, it means something totally different. It means God is about to act on a promise. It's not just a mental event. It's the trigger for a physical, world-changing intervention.
And this distinction is absolutely crucial. You've got passive memory on one hand, that's just an internal feeling, thinking about the past. But what we're talking about here is active remembrance. That's an external action. It's fulfilling a promise. So God isn't just feeling sad for the Israelites, God is activating a contract.
And that's why the timing isn't random at all. This divine action is like a key turning in a lock, unlocking a very specific, very old commitment. See, the people's cry didn't create a new reason for God to act. It just triggered a reason that was already there, lying in wait.
Okay, so what was this promise? What exactly was being remembered here? To figure that out, we have to go back. Way back. We're talking centuries.
This commitment is what the Bible calls a covenant, a binding promise. And it wasn't new at all. It was first initiated with a man named Abraham, then it was passed down to his son, Isaac, and then it was confirmed again with his grandson, Jacob. And after that? Well, after that there was a long, long period of silence, of waiting.
430 years. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how long it was from the promise being made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to this desperate cry in Egypt. We're talking about a promise that was kept alive across more than a dozen generations. That's incredible.
So what was the promise? Well, with Abraham, it was huge. He was promised that his descendants would become a great nation, and not only that, but they'd be a source of blessing for the entire world. So this was never just some private deal. It had global implications from day one. Then, that same promise was reaffirmed to his son Isaac, right in the middle of a crisis. And then it was confirmed again with Jacob, after he famously wrestled with God and with his own past. So you have 3 generations, one single enduring commitment.
All of this leads us to a really profound conclusion about the kind of power we're looking at here. It's not just about raw, absolute power. It's about covenant-making power.
And here's what's so mind-blowing about a covenant. It's basically a self-imposed limitation. Think about it. An all-powerful being doesn't need partners, right? Doesn't need to make deals. Yet this story shows a God who chooses to be bound by a promise to a weak and flawed partner. It's a choice to be relational instead of just dictatorial.
So what does this tell us about the character of this God? Well, first, that this God is relational, working through partnership, not just by decree. Also, incredibly faithful, I mean, honoring a promise for over 400 years is no small thing. This God is a partner, someone who gets into the mess of human history, unbelievably patient, working with people through generations of screw-ups, and finally, purposeful. Because the promise was never about playing favorites, it was always about bringing a blessing to the whole world.
So, in the end, what we're really left with is this incredible idea. When absolute power binds itself to a promise, that power is transformed. It becomes something more than just might, it becomes faithfulness. It's more than control, it's commitment. So maybe the real question isn't just, why did God finally act? Maybe the bigger question we should be asking is this: how does making a promise change the very nature of power itself?